Everyone says the same thing. I don't have time. Not enough time to start. Not enough time to grow. Not enough time to change their life. But what if that's not true? What if time isn't the real problem at all? Because the truth is, you have the same 24 hours as the people you admire. The same 24 hours as the people who built something meaningful. The same 24 hours as the people who broke free. Yet somehow, they move forward and you feel stuck. So what's the difference? It's not time, it's energy. Think about this. There are days when you're busy all day, yet feel like you did nothing. And there are days when you accomplish more in 2 focused hours than an entire week. That's not a time issue, that's an energy issue. Energy is what decides whether time is used or wasted. And most people are exhausted without realizing why. They're not lazy, they're not unmotivated, they're drained. Drained by things they don't question. Drained by habits they normalized. Drained by lives they never intentionally designed. We're taught to manage time, calendars, schedules, to-do lists. But no one teaches us how to manage energy. And without energy, time means nothing. You can have all the free time in the world, but if your energy is gone, nothing moves. That's why you procrastinate even when you have time. That's why you scroll when you know what you should be doing. That's why you delay important decisions. Your mind isn't refusing to work. It's protecting itself from depletion. Because energy is not infinite, and your brain knows it. Your brain is constantly asking one question: is this worth the energy cost? If the answer feels like too much, it avoids. Not because you're weak, but because you're tired. Emotionally tired, mentally tired, spiritually tired. And here's the dangerous part. Most energy drains are invisible. You don't feel them happening. They happen quietly. Every time you say yes when you mean no. Every time you suppress a thought. Every time you stay in environments that drain you. Every time you consume without creating. Your energy leaks, and you don't notice it until you try to act. Then you tell yourself, I don't have time. But deep down, it's not time you lack. It's fuel. Most people wake up already tired. Not because they didn't sleep, but because they're carrying mental weight from yesterday. And the day before, and the year before that. Unfinished conversations, unmade decisions, unlived potential. That weight drains energy, and when energy is low, even simple tasks feel heavy. That's why starting feels so hard. Not because the task is difficult, but because your internal battery is already empty. Here's something few people realize. Motivation doesn't create energy. Energy creates motivation. You don't get motivated and then act. You act when you have enough energy to care. That's why advice like just push harder fails. Pushing harder on an empty system only creates burnout, and burnout doesn't look like collapse. It looks like numbness, distraction, avoidance, scrolling, overthinking. Burnout hides behind busy. Most people aren't overwhelmed by work. They're overwhelmed by constant mental noise, notifications, comparison, unclear goals, unprocessed emotions. All of that costs energy, and yet no one counts it. We count hours, but we ignore the cost of attention. Attention is energy. Every time your attention is pulled in 10 directions, your energy fragments. You end the day feeling like you ran a marathon, without moving anywhere. That's not a time problem. That's energy fragmentation. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Your energy is being spent on things that don't build your future. You wake up and immediately give your best energy to your phone, to other people's lives, to other people's problems, to other people's expectations. Then you wonder why there's nothing left for yourself. Your dreams don't get your energy leftovers. They require first access. Energy works on priority, not intention. What gets your energy first shapes your life. That's why some people feel alive working on one thing for hours and exhausted doing something else for 10 minutes. Energy follows meaning. If what you're doing feels disconnected from who you want to become, your brain resists. Not consciously, subconsciously. It slows you down, distracts you, finds escape routes, because it's trying to preserve energy for something that feels worthwhile. And if nothing feels worthwhile, energy collapses. That's when people say, "I'm tired all the time." But tired isn't always physical. Often it's existential. You're tired of doing things that don't move you closer to yourself. You're tired of surviving instead of building. And here's the part that changes everything. Time doesn't create energy. Energy creates usable time. When your energy is aligned, time expands. You focus faster, decide quicker, act cleaner. When energy is misaligned, time shrinks, hours disappear, days blur, weeks pass. Same clock, different experience. So the real question isn't how do I find time? It's what is draining my energy? Because energy leaks are more dangerous than time loss. Time loss is visible. Energy loss is silent. Let's talk about the biggest energy drains most people ignore. 1. Unresolved decisions. Every decision you postpone stays open in your mind, and open loops drain energy. Your brain keeps them running in the background. That's why indecision is exhausting. Clarity gives energy. Ambiguity steals it. 2. Living out of alignment. When your actions don't match your values, energy leaks. You might not notice it immediately, but over time, it feels like resistance, like moving through mud. 3. Constant consumption. Scrolling, watching, absorbing. Without creation, consumption without output drains energy. Creation restores it. Even small acts of creation, writing, building, thinking, generate energy. That's why you can feel energized after working on something meaningful. 4. Emotional suppression. Unexpressed emotions don't disappear. They turn into tension, and tension costs energy. That's why pretending to be fine is exhausting. Now here's the shift most people never make. You don't fix energy by resting more. Rest helps, but it doesn't solve the root. You fix energy by removing leaks, by aligning actions with values, by choosing what deserves your attention, by protecting your mental space, by designing your days around energy, not hours. Instead of asking, "What do I need to do today?" ask, "What deserves my best energy today?" One thing, not 10. Because progress doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing what matters with energy behind it. You don't need more time to change your life. You need more intentional energy. And that starts with small shifts. Not waking up and reacting, but waking up and choosing. Not giving your best focus away first, but reserving it. Not waiting to feel motivated, but creating conditions where energy naturally rises. Because energy grows when you act in alignment. Every time you choose growth over comfort, energy increases. Every time you tell the truth, energy returns. Every time you move one step toward who you want to become, your internal system rewards you. That's why courage feels energizing after the fear passes. That's why clarity feels light. That's why purpose fuels endurance. Time doesn't give you momentum. Energy does. And momentum changes everything. Once you understand this, you stop blaming time. You stop feeling guilty. You stop thinking something is wrong with you. You realize the truth. You were never broken. You were just depleted. And depleted people don't need pressure. They need alignment. So here's the challenge. Stop asking for more time. Start protecting your energy. Audit where it goes. Remove what drains it. Invest it where it matters. Because when energy is right, action follows. And when action follows, life changes. Not someday, now. If this message resonated with you, it means you're ready for a different way of living. One built on clarity, intention, and energy, not burnout. Subscribe to Daily Upgrade Motivation for videos that help you reclaim control of your mind, your focus, and your future. Upgrade your energy, upgrade your choices, and watch how time finally starts working for you instead of against you.